Eight, the insight that has been molded by the commitments and sacrifices of the Americans that are defending and have defended our freedoms for the past 247 years. Unfiltered, unedited, and certainly not PC. We are those people. Let's stand up and stand firm. How about now? This is insane. Okay, how about now, Carol? Have we got something now? Or how about now? We got sound coming through at all? Okay. Let's try this one more time. How about now? Ron Call can hear me. Good. That's good. Can you hear me now? Yes. All right. Anyway, we'll go back over the admin notes again. 16 April to 1 May, I will not be on the show. We will not have a show. I've got my annual 2-week training. So this is crazy. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it. Dave Glovin, appreciate all of y'all. Like I said, annual 2-week training coming up 16 through 1 May, 16 April, 1 May. I will not be on the Moving It Right show either. I just bear with me, everybody. Doing the best I can. I do have to attend my military training with no choice. So that being said, anyway, the first thing we'll talk about today is the Missouri Minuteman bill that's been passed, which authorizes armed volunteers to assist the state governor above and beyond the National Guard that they have. This gets them strictly under the control of the governor of Missouri. Our feel-good story of the day is about Daniel Merritt. If anybody has bought anything from Nine Line Apparel, Daniel and his brother Tyler set up that company. They're both veterans. Tyler is disabled. Tyler was actually a special operations aviation pilot. And Daniel's decided to give up his half of the company to his brother, and he is going to go back in the military. He's going back in the Army. So we'll give you a little bit on that feel good story there. Third item we're going to take a look at. The Army goes to gender-specific test scores. Remember all the controversy we've had over the ACFT, the Army Combat Fitness Test, where it was a gender-neutral scoring system. I've looked at it. I've seen it. I've been talked to about it. We'll get in a little bit more like how they oh shit, yeah, women are different from men, so we're going to go to a different scoring system based on their gender. I wonder how that's going to work with the transgenders. Are they going to have a transgender specific? Yeah, we'll leave that one alone for right now. And then last but not least, in my opinion section, a view from my military mind. We're going to talk about Tucker Carlson versus the military. This is something that's been going on, and it still keeps raising its ugly dragon head. We know that Tucker had made some commentary about specific things for females in the military. That's not the only thing he talked about, but yeah, we'll get into that and talk about those. So if you give me just 1 second here, we're going to go ahead and see if I can get my next ad in, because I managed not to get everything in this morning. Trying to get music set up and all that. Hey, when you're an engineer by yourself, things like this happen. So, Dave Glovin, to answer your question, go live from military training. They frown on that a whole lot, even though I've pretty much do what I want to do. But let's not get me run off before I get retired. I really kind of like my job, so let's not do that. Yeah, I would love to. It would really be awesome to be able to do that, but Uncle Sugar is not going to let me do that. So let's not do that. What the hell's going on here now? Why, of course, this doesn't want to cooperate with me. Never does. I'm really amazed that I don't lose my mind over this sometimes doing it by myself. I need to get Rich Ashton on here one time and see if he can help me out with this and make it good. But we'll see. We'll get it knocked out. So we're just uploading here a little bit. Has anybody out there got suggestions, things they'd like to hear on the road or hear on the show? Please let me know. I would really love to hear what you guys have going on. So anyway, just kind of hang tight. We've got one here we're going to put up for y'all. And Let me know. We'll see you shortly after the break.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I knew I had to be strong.
I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. We build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access and automatic door openers that allow them to focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom.
It's hope. It's a new beginning.
Visit hfotusa.org.
Helps if I unmute what I'm doing. Sorry about that. So, you know how it is. Hey, I'm by myself. I don't have help, but I love my job. I really love my job. Anyway, Missouri is considering a bill that would create armed Minutemen volunteer force. Lawmakers in Missouri are considering legislation that would make it legal to create a Missouri Minutemen, a group of legal gun owners who could be called to action by the governor. On Tuesday, state senators had discussed Senate Bill 258 in Missouri. Now, this is in the Missouri Senate. Don't be confused. It's not in the U.S. Senate. This is in the Missouri Senate, the state Senate. It would establish that there shall be the Minutemen of the state, which shall be called into service by the governor for use in defense during a state of emergency with consent of 2/3 of the General Assembly. Now, according to the legislation, any legal Missouri resident who is legally able to own a firearm will be allowed to voluntarily join the Minutemen through the Department of Public Safety, which is their law enforcement or state police. Now, the state senator, Bill White, who is the author of the bill, said the Minutemen are not a militia. They would be used in a civilization-threatening event as additional support for law enforcement and other government entities. Now, I'll get into commentary about this, how this can go really wrong. But he goes on to say that, volunteers be required to secure themselves with firearms, firearm accessories, ammunition, uniforms, equipment, and supplies necessary to perform any duties as assigned by the governor. So you're going to make these guys buy all this stuff and utilize ammunition in support of the state. That doesn't sound too hot. But anyway, we'll move on with the rest of it. Then we'll get in our commentary. Additionally, volunteers' firearms, accessories, ammunition, weapons, uniforms, equipment, supplies, et cetera, would be considered state property for purpose of sovereignty and jurisdiction in matters of judicial, taxation, and police powers exercised by the state when a member is called into service, protecting them from attempted federal seizures. So now you see where this is going. All right. The bill states that firearms and equipment will also not be subject to taxes or regulation requirements, which are federal. Okay. Only volunteers' name and address will be recorded by the department, and the law would also prohibit the disclosure of volunteers' information. So, any person responsible for any unauthorized disclosure of this list in part or in whole shall be subject to a $1,000 fine per each name that is disclosed with a Class E felony. So they're going to hold their feet to the fire and squeeze their little legs there and say, "Hey, you can't be doing this because we're going to put you in jail over it." And they say also under the legislation, the governor, who would act as the commander in chief of the Minutemen, would also be required to publish organization, discipline, and training regulations. Pete Lucier, an advocate for gun control with Everytown for Gun Safety, criticized the legislation. Why? Of course, we're going to have criticism of the legislation. Why not? We've got to have controversy. If we're not woke, but yeah, we'll see. The problem isn't this bill, which is going nowhere. The problem is rising extremism in this country. So he's got to pull that in there. Not only is it a distraction from those common sense solutions, but it's not towards extremists in our community. I don't think the government should be in the business of that. I think you're a little wrong here, sir. The government is in the business of providing protection. So, Mr. Lucier, I think you need to reread what the state's responsibility and what the federal government's responsibility is. But he does go on to say that this isn't a bill that protects civil liberties. This isn't a bill that helps gun owners. He said, I think we have strong Second Amendment protections in Missouri, and I don't think they need to be bolstered. Really? This is a fear-based reaction. Well, what do you think? Yeah, I'm kind of scared of what the federal government's trying to do now, and some of those in the state legislatures as far as our Second Amendments are concerned. They're trying to take those away. Okay, now there's so many things that can actually go wrong with this. There's a lot of people out there that, now don't get me wrong, I don't want to reduce our Second Amendment rights. I do not. If you have a legal right to own your firearm, by all means do that. I support buying a firearm. I have my own. I'm not about to give up my rights to have a firearm. But when you go do something like this without the proper vetting of people to perform these duties, you've created not a militia, not a posse. You've created an armed mob. So I really wished I could I tried to find this, the basic draft of this bill, and I wasn't able to find it before airtime. But if anybody knows where it's at, or if you can find it, and I'm going to keep looking for it. But if you can find a draft of this Missouri bill, and that's going to be Senate Bill or SB 258 out of the state of Missouri. If you can find that, send that to me. I would love to read that because I want to see how far they go into it. Now, Ed Dozel on here says, Ed, you say you think Missouri's on the wrong track with the Minuteman idea that the militia is sufficient. They don't have a militia. They have the National Guard. The National Guard is not really a militia. We could be considered a state militia, but because of other requirements, we're not a militia. But they could establish, I mean, a lot of states have a state militia. I don't think Missouri does. They could establish this as a state militia, which has ties to it, to the National Guard, so they get the proper training, get proper equipment. But to just arbitrarily tell a bunch of civilians out there, hey, you can bring your weapons, your ammunition. There's things that'll show up out there that make you shake your head and go, man, the Army won't even buy that. So they have to be careful about establishing some kind of militia like this. And like I said, I would really like to read more into the bill. I'm not getting all the information that I need, or that I would like to bring to you about this. So I'm going to look, I'm going to keep an eye on this bill. Again, it's Senate Bill 258 out of Missouri for the Minuteman bill. I'm going to keep an eye on this and see how this goes and see if I can't get a copy of this to read more into it, see what their controls are going to be. It says that he's going to set those up, but I don't want to restrict our Second Amendment rights, but I don't want us to get a bunch of nuts running loose out there also with weapons that are just don't need to be there. And I hope everybody understands what I'm saying. I mean, I go through this training all the time. I'm trained on different type of weapon systems. I've got guys that I work with and know that are trained on far more advanced weapon systems and far more than I know about. And this particular bill does worry me, not because it's promoting extremism, but because we are setting ourselves up for something that can be run away with. Okay, and Ed Ed, when you go to talk about militias, I know they exist. Necessary degree of confidentiality. When you start talking about militias, especially ones that are not regulated by a standard, we've got to worry. And me and you can talk about that offline. I'm not going to get into that because we've got to be very, very careful when we start getting into these militias that are running loose out there that me personally, as a military personnel, would rather see them go away because they're dangerous. They have no control. They have no kind of specific training. They don't have any kind of infrastructure that is sound. So, but yeah, Ed, we'll talk about that offline sometime and we're not going to get heavy into it. That's a whole nother show. In fact, that is an entire show. So, all right. Enough on that one, on Missouri. I want to get into our feel-good story for the day here for about Daniel Merritt, who was the co-owner of Nine Line Apparel. And I have bought some items from Nine Line Apparel. I really like their apparel. I support them because of the fact that they are veteran owned. Both owners were veterans. One is disabled, and the other is not. In fact, that's why Daniel has sold his half to his brother Tyler, who is a special operations aviation pilot. He's not able to do that anymore. But Daniel is going back into the Army. So, but yeah, Army vet Daniel Merritt reenlists after selling his share of Nine Line Apparel to his veteran brother, co-owner, and still 100% veteran owned. So hang tight with me here for a minute. We're going to go ahead and get this next little ad out of the way, and we'll go from there. So we'll talk to you here shortly. Just hang tight with me.
What do you see in a parade? You see children with their flags, families clapping and laughing. What do you see when he walks by? Do you see his struggle, his path, his fight? Do you see him? When he walks alone. When he stands by himself. But he stands knowing the force of the VFW, America's largest organization of combat veterans, has his back. We are the VFW, and no one does more for veterans.
All right. VFW, if you're a veteran, combat veteran, get your chance. Join on to the VFW. They got a lot of great programs. They are changing, making things better for the newer veterans. You got to get the newer veterans involved if they want an organization that is good for them. They're trying to change the old standard. So get involved with the VFW, be part of a great organization. I am a life member of the VFW. I fully support them, but get in there and do your thing, get with a great organization, and help other veterans out. So anyway, moving on. Like I said, Army veteran Daniel Merritt enlists after selling his share of Nine Line Apparel to his veteran brother co-owner, still 100% veteran owned. So buy some Nine Line Apparel. Anyway, Daniel Merritt, an Army veteran, businessman, and former congressional candidate. Yes, he ran for Congress in Georgia. Surprised onlookers when he reenlisted with the Army after selling his share of Nine Line Apparel to his disabled veteran co-owner brother Tyler Merritt. Tyler now owns 100% of the company. He's in full control of it. And it still remains a 100% disabled veteran-owned company. So buy Nine Line Apparel. Great apparel. Daniel said that, reenlisting was a no-brainer for him. Who was dying to do something else. And he knew Nine Line Apparel was going good, had a good base, good customer support. So excellent clothing company. And it was founded by patriots, for patriots, and he knows it's in good hands with his brother Tyler. And Tyler said, Daniel's my brother. I'm very proud of him trying to enter politics, go back into the military, but he didn't have the ability to focus on the company. So he was bought out by me, by Tyler, and it's now 100% owned by him, by Tyler. So additionally, Merritt's remaining businesses, the Southern Lifestyle Company and Downside Investment Group, have day-to-day management running the companies, which freed up Merritt to go ahead and reenlist. So this is a man who keeps himself busy, keeps on the go, always doing something. Geez, sounds familiar. And he goes on to state, he says, of all the things that I was able to accomplish was because of the decision to join the Army that I was able to make somehow when I was 18 years old. So maybe that's kind of, in a way, a reason that when I sold my company, I wanted to continue to give back, because if I hadn't joined in the beginning, I would have never had the tools that I needed to achieve all of these great things, because I had the discipline to do it. So, and this is what he's telling American Military News. So he took everything that he learned in the Army, all the discipline, and with his brother created a great company. He's got outstanding T-shirts and apparel. And I mean, it's just, he's got an awesome company there. And Merritt was born in Stamford, Connecticut. He spent his youth like anybody else, and a lot of other American boys, playing Army in the woods. I did it when I was young. My brother did it. My cousins and all that did it too. His grandfather was a Marine who was shot during the first landing in Iwo Jima, and provided a connection for the young Merritt to a life in the service. And Merritt's gone on to say that the military was always kind of called out to him. He wasn't the greatest student in the world. He struggled with follow through. He surrounded himself with not the best folks. He said, I was the kid that was probably going to have gone to jail or been dead. Knowing that wasn't who he wanted to be, he said, join the Army, and knew it wasn't something he could back out of. Once you sign that dotted line, you're there. He enlisted right out of high school, deployed twice in his 18 years of service, once to Iraq and once to Afghanistan, and earned the Bronze Star during all of this. So that's our feel-good thing today. Daniel Merritt, a great American, true patriot, helped him and his brother establish a great veteran-owned company. And now he's re-enlisting back in the Army. Daniel, I welcome you back in. I look forward to, hopefully before I do finally retire, to get a chance to meet you and work with you. If not, brother, I have you 6. We'll watch for on the line, and hopefully you will never need my medevac services, but we're there if you need us. So now, this is something that isn't so feel good for a lot of the soldiers out there. Army announces gender-specific fitness test score percentiles after women's high fail rates on gender-neutral test. Do you think there was going to be a problem when you come up with gender-neutral? I don't know what kind of science or anatomical science or physiological science that they're looking at, but the last time I checked, men and women are built differently. We perform differently. We have different muscle groups that we use to get things accomplished. What in God's name were they thinking when they come up with this? I said this back when they started going with this gender neutral. It's like, this isn't going to work. Yes, you have some young ladies out there that excel and exceed the male standard. And I have to say, I'm proud of them. I'm impressed when they do it. I'm impressed when some of the guys exceed it. Let's face it, our current crop of recruits we have available aren't exactly what you would call the Olympic athletic type. But yeah, what can I say? But when it comes to the young ladies out there, it's somebody wasn't thinking when they did this. I don't want to put a female up against me in a physical contest of this nature. Granted, at this age, they probably whipped my butt. But back in the day when, I was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, that's an unfair advantage for me. And it doesn't give a true sense of their performance capabilities. They have things that work differently than we do. And these boneheads were trying to do this gender neutral. Anyway, they finally decided to come out and say, "Hup, my bad. We've got to go with gender-specific test score percentiles." They announced on Monday that it will use the events on the third version of the Army Combat Physical Fitness ACFT 3.0 gender neutral, but male and female soldiers will be evaluated on separate gender-specific percentile tiers. So they're going to keep the same events. Okay, get it. The old PT test was the same way. Everybody did sit-ups, push-ups, and 2-mile run. But they're going to be evaluated based on their gender. Okay. Let's face it, when the ladies got out there and were doing this, some of them excelled, just like we talked about a minute ago, but the majority failed miserably. What they failed to tell you, and I'm seeing this firsthand, some of the guys are failing miserably. They should have just left all this stuff for CrossFit and all that crap back in the civilian side. The military didn't need it. We were being quite, did the best we could, and we still got out there and we fought and we did the best we could with the wars. But anyway, this General Lonnie Hibbard, a commanding general for the U.S. Army for initial military training, told reporters the ACFT 3.0 establishes an evaluation system with gender-informed performance categories. Why don't you just call it male and female standards? Oh my God. Performance categories may be used now to tier the soldiers' points or score according to their gender. We got to have big words because he feels important. They plan to implement this on April 1st, 2022. Gee, we'll have a PT test we can actually score by then. Because right now they're just doing diagnostics and nothing counts against us. And we've got kids coming out of basic training that couldn't run a half a mile to go get a glass of water. They say it's being introduced because female soldiers have earned fewer points on average than their male counterparts, and there have been concerns lower test scores on a gender-neutral standard will disadvantage female soldiers being considered for promotion. Now, let me get into this. This is something that really pisses me off when it comes to the Army, and I hope they hear me. Come slap my hand for it, please. But this is absolutely stupid. You get out here. Okay, I understand we have to be physically fit to perform our jobs. I'm getting to that age now where I can't always run for a day and a half trying to avoid the enemy. When I'm flying, I can't always fly 8, 10, and 12 hours at a time. But when you take this and you have a bunch of muscle heads and a bunch of meatheads out there, all they can do is score 260 to 300 on their PT evaluations, the physical fitness evaluations, but don't know the first damn thing about their military occupational specialty. In other words, they can't do their job, but you're going to promote them over the guy that scores the minimum standard. Because he's got a 160 or 180 PT score, but you're going to promote this meathead that's always in the gym, doesn't know how to do his job, performs 262, 300. They're not addressing that disparity, and I personally run into that. It's absolutely ignorant. Now I'm going to go out there and I'm going to meet the standard, but I'm not going to go out there and over exceed in the PT realm because that's not my job. I'm a helicopter mechanic. I'm a crew chief. Yeah, there's some crew chiefs out there that I work with that go to the gym, have great PT scores, things like that. But they also do their job and earn the promotions that they've got. Some of them I can mention, like Sergeant Montz and Sergeant Smith. These guys, if they hear me, they know who I'm talking about. They earned what they've got. But to just promote you because the boy's got a good PT score, he can bench press and he scores this on, that's fucking stupid. Okay? It needs to be taken out of the promotion system altogether. Well, we got to have an incentive to make them go do PT. Exactly. Go back to old school. Everybody on Monday morning. Form up. Half right face. Front leaning rest. Okay, there's ways to do this. Other than the stupid incentive of giving them promotions because they can run 2 miles faster than anybody else. Okay, if you're shooting at me, I'm going to be like the third monkey on Noah's Ark and brother, it's starting to rain. Okay, I'm going to run. So, yeah, I don't agree with using this as part of the, it's heavily weighted in the promotion system too, for those of you who are not familiar with it. So, but I'm glad to see that the Army's finally got their head out of their fifth point of contact and realized that men and women are different from each other and they perform differently. My bad. So they're going to fix that up. They're going to try to get that reinstated. the ACFT they've got is a good test of how our physical abilities are. They just screwed up trying to go in there with trying to make it gender neutral and everybody's the same. Sorry, we're not the same. So quit being stupid. He's Sergeant Major of the Army Michael Grinston, who I've got a certain level of respect for him. Said the score is still the score, it's still age and gender neutral. It's how we use the score. Huh? Okay, Sergeant Major, you need to clear that up. That's talking in circles. And I know you learned that at the academy. But still. But yeah, they're going to go ahead and make their changes, get it in there. Finally, Army, you're getting your head out of the point of contact over this. Now, I still wonder how we're going to do the transgenders. Are we going to dual score them until they're done? Or how about let's not be stupid, okay? Go back to what we had. We don't need them there. You were born a male, you were born a female. That's the way you need to be taken care of. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. So we'll try to get into that at that point in time. Not for right now. Bill Tisnauer. Yes, I am a helicopter mechanic. Please do not be scared when you see a Black Hawk flying over you. We keep them flying over 1,283 flight hours. So, yeah, a lot of that is combat time. So anyway, I'll tell you what, give me just a minute. Got one more little ad here, and then we'll get into my last minute comments and such. And we'll go from there. So here you go.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans.
All right. Well, I am back. This is the last segment of it. This is my opinion, my point, my view. So a while back, we had a little controversy get stirred up with Tucker Carlson making comments about changes in the military where they were making maternity flight suits for females in the military so they can fly, quote, non-combat missions. And to be quite honest, in some points, I have to agree with Tucker. This is absolutely stupid. The physical impact on pilots and crews on these aircraft far exceeds what a young lady that is expecting a child should have to be put through. They say, well, pilots just sit in the seats up front. Okay, the emotional and not so much the physical, but mostly the emotional and mental stress that a pilot goes through can be quite extreme. And why in the name of God would you want to sit your butt up there in the cockpit, whether it be fixed wing, rotor wing, whatever, non-combat or combat, and put yourself and your child through that? It's ludicrous. Now, yeah, there's going to be some, easygoing flights. Are you always going to depend on your co-pilot or your partner to take over for you? What's going to happen when morning sickness comes along? What's going to happen when your hormones go haywire, which they will? I've been around a long time, known a lot of pregnant females. It's not, it's going to happen. And I'm not trying to disrespect the females out there. I have a lot of respect for them when they get out there and perform those jobs right beside me. And there's days where I don't feel good. and I don't need to be there. But again, we're specifically addressing the commentary on the maternity flight suit. Why does the Army want to go in there, or in this case, it was the Air Force that brought it up also? Why do you want to put your expectant soldiers in that position? Have you lost your mind? Yeah, some of them are going to do it because they think they can make it. Okay, I get it. You got females that are just like males that think, I've got this. I'm going to go ahead and move through with this. I can perform at my maximum level, even though I'm pregnant. The last time I studied anatomy and physiology, that's not so much the truth. So, on that point, I do have to agree with Tucker Carlson. Now, Sergeant Major of the Army Grinston, General Paul E. Funk, General Miley, they've all managed to start banging and flapping their gums out there, battling with a civilian commentator because, and especially the SecDef, gentlemen, you're not politicians. We work for the civilian side. So guess what? That civilian that just made that commentary to you, he's a civilian. He doesn't answer to you. Could care less what your viewpoint and opinion is. He respects it, though, because you are in the military, you're in the Army, you're in the Air Force. Not sure how he feels about the SecDef, being that I think he's tarnished his stars to this point. But we're supposed to be apolitical. We're not supposed to get in there and start getting in these little pissing contests with the media because we didn't like what they said. It's a commentary. He doesn't have direction on what you're going to do. Now, can he influence it? Yes, he can. If he gets enough people thinking about it, talking about it, and gets it to the right people, yes, influence can be imparted and impacted on you to either stop or enhance what you're doing. Now, that being said, General Miley, I don't know what you're looking for. Sergeant Major Grinston, I don't know what you're looking for when you retire. How about let's worry about the military and how we perform, how we get our training done, how we're able to fight the enemy instead of worrying about what the political ramifications are from some administration that in 2 or 3 years is going to be gone, or from a news commentator that in the next news cycle, it'll all be forgotten about, except you keep bringing it up again. Instead of being a political figure, how about being my leader? How about being the soldier's leader? How about being a general? How about being a sergeant major? How about being a soldier and not a politician? Let the politicians worry about that crap. Okay? Yeah, Secretary of Defense. Okay, I've already said it. I'll probably get my hand slapped somewhere down the road. But you've embarrassed us. We're apolitical. We're not conservative. We're not liberal. We're not Unitarian. We're not libertarian or anything like that. We're the United States military. So instead of standing up there on your high horse and giving a viewpoint that you say is the military's view that is strictly political and adjusted to the administration that's in house, how about getting us back to the standards we used to be at? Let's be the military again. Let's not be some kind of political pawn like they did us in Vietnam. You might want to talk to some of those old Vietnam vets, the officers and the senior enlisted, how they were used as pawns. And here you go again. You're going to do it again. And I don't care to be a pawn. I don't want to see my men and women used as a frickin' pawn. A soldier today, if he comes up to me going, "Hey, Sarge, I'm tired of hearing about this mess. I'm tired of the silly diversity games. I'm tired of the silly little woke standard. I'm getting out." You know what? I'm not going to stop him. I am not going to stop him. I'm embarrassed by what our military is becoming today. So how about let's wake up there in the leadership tops. Stop fighting with some commentator on a news show. Stop trying to impress the administration that's going to be gone in 2 or 3 years. Your soldiers are going to be there for always. They're going to have your 6, but you've got to earn it. Don't tarnish your stars, bars, birds, and leaves just to make political points. So when you get out, you've got somewhere to go, because these men and women are still going to be here. So that's my piece. That's my commentary. It's been a great show. I've heard a lot of comments from people. Ed Dozel, you're right. We get the politics out of the military. Sorry for the freeze up we had. And Michael Anthony, you're right. We will not stop the unstoppables. We'll keep on going. Jen Woodruff, glad to see you on here. Thank you for coming by. Shall not be infringed. Do they not understand? Not sure. I'm thinking some of them know how to speak English. They're starting to speak some other language. So I'm not sure what's going on. Beth McCord, thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Michael Anthony, appreciate your support. Dave Glovin, all of y'all that have joined the show, I really, really, really appreciate it. So until next time, like I said, April 16th through May 1st, there will not be any shows. I will not be on Moving It Right with Rich Ashton, which is on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 Eastern, 10 Central. So remember that. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Practice your faith. Practice your beliefs. And remember, all the soldiers and military personnel that are deployed, they're there defending our freedoms, whether they're deployed here at home or they're deployed overseas. They're out there fighting for you. So until next time, I will make sure messages get up to y'all. Have a great weekend. Happy Easter. And may God bless America. This is your host, Terry Mills from View from Military Mind. This has been a Valkyrie Productions podcast. You have a great day, and thank you.